Hello and good morning. This is the fifth of the videos that I produced during the lockdown period, and I thought I'd bring you into a different room today. So I'm in my kitchen and I'm also standing up, so a bit more action today. Hope you're all doing well. I'm still fine, which I'm very grateful for. What I want to say today, it actually started for a kind of a daily thought I did for BBC Radio Solent. These days I just do one on a Sunday, which they call Thought for the Week. And then on Monday I do one called Monday Motivation. And I thought on Monday I would do a story that comes just after Easter Sunday, because Monday is, if you see what I mean. And it's a story from Luke chapter 24 in the Bible. So it tells a story of two disciples who go for a walk. They go from Jerusalem to a place called Emmaus. Apparently it's about 7 miles, quite a decent walk that. And on their way, they're talking about everything that's been happening. They talk about the last days, the arrest of Jesus, his crucifixion, and then the fact that some people say he's come back to life again, and they're just kind of confused and not sure. Anyway, while they're on this journey, they come across a stranger who starts walking with them, and the stranger says, "Well, what are you talking about?" And they say, "Well, we're talking about all the things that have happened recently in Jerusalem." And the stranger says, "Tell me more." And they said, "Well, don't you know, everyone's talking about it. It's a bit like coronavirus today, everyone's talking about it." And so they begin to explain to this stranger, and they say about Jesus, "We had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel." And because I'm quite interested in language, that "had hoped" really struck me, because I would call that the Pluperfect tense. Now, someone picked me up on that and said in English we call it the past perfect tense. Now, I'm not sure, but in a way it doesn't matter, because had hoped means you don't hope anymore. We had done that. I had hoped to spend Easter with the whole family, but it didn't happen. I had hoped. And had hoped is very sad, isn't it? Because it says there's hope no more. Just behind me you can see a fridge, and on the fridge there's loads of fridge magnets. Now then, I've not been to all those places, but they're places that either me or our children have been to, and I had hoped to add a few more to those over this period, but who knows. And so had hoped is really sad. But the story goes on that they arrive at a place and they invite this stranger to eat with them, and they're eating together and they take bread, and as the stranger breaks bread, they realize that that stranger is Jesus himself. And then enigmatically the Bible says he disappeared from their sight. So all sorts of questions. Why didn't they recognize him? Why was that? Did he look very different? Who knows? And when they did recognize him, how come he disappeared? But I think I'm really struck by the fact that we need to continue in these days with hope. And so I'm thinking, well, what hope have we got? I've got hope that this will all come to an end sometime. I've got hope that I'll continue to stay well. I've got hope that maybe what we're going through will change us as a society. Those of us involved in churches, it might change us as a church to the positive. But I've also got hope that, well, the Christian hope that we have, that if the worst happens, we're going to be in a place that we call heaven. We're going to be forever with God. And I don't understand heaven at all, but I'm told it's a pretty nice place. And that's a hope as well. I was talking this week to a gentleman who'd just been bereaved. He was I think he's in his early 90s, and he was growing up during the Second World War, and he was saying to me, aren't these times difficult? And I said to him, it was over the phone, by the way, I said to him that, you lived through the war. I didn't live through those days. How does it compare? And he said to me, he felt this was far worse. Now, there's a context to that. He was a little boy during the war, and, life is exciting when you're a little boy or whatever's going on. He also lived out in the country, lived in the forest, and he said they had plenty of food. He got memories of sort of going up to where the Americans were gathering and sort of, give us some gum chum and everything for them. So it was very different for him now as an older gentleman, accepting what was happening now. But in some ways, I think he's right, because when I read stories of the war, it occurs to me that there was lots of opportunities to be together. Yes, it was awful. Yes, it was terrible, but people were able to physically be together. And I think one of the things we're missing at the moment is that we can't do that. Now, one thing I've frequently said is that I think me being born 1954, I've had it really easy. And this is probably the hardest time that we've ever had nationally and internationally since I was born. And it got me thinking, I'm just going to finish with this now, of some verses that St. Paul wrote in Philippians chapter 4. And he wrote this: I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. And that's an amazing claim by Paul, that he'd learnt to cope with good times, but he'd also learnt to cope with difficult times. And I hope that you're feeling that you're coping with the difficult times that we're going through now. And I still hope, not had hoped, I hope that we'll all come through this. We'll all come through this stronger. If there's any lessons we've got to learn, may we learn those lessons. May we become the people that we really want to be. So may our Pluperfect, if that's what it is, how had hoped, may it turn again to the present, I hope. Have a hopeful week. Bye now.